Hello everyone, I know it's been a while, but we're back with another Hero Executions Graded. I am so excited because we're finally going to hit the last of the Vanguards. We've done Warden, Raider, Kensei, and Tiandi. Let's wrap it all up with Warmonger. Now, a couple things. First of all, a lot of people were asking me to do Warmonger in conjunction with another one or two heroes because Warmonger has so few executions. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do each hero individually, mostly because, for one thing, it means more content. I can release more videos, which will mean more viewership. And also, it's not about the length of time of the video or the number of executions. It's just about really appreciating each character. And since it's Warmonger's Hero Fest, thought this is a good time to really appreciate the hero. Secondly, if you don't know how I grade these execution videos, I'm going to leave a link in the description, and you can see it up in the upper right-hand corner of the video right now, where you can be linked to a video I made called That's an Execution, where you'll see me explain in great detail how I'm going to grade all these executions. I'll share with you my rubric for how I grade, because I was a former teacher and rubrics are my thing. But essentially, I'm going to be grading for four things. How lethal is the execution? How likely is it to kill? Realism, how realistic is the execution? Could it be realistically done? Efficiency, is it good on the battlefield? Would it be a good execution to use in actual drawn-out war? And cool factor, how just outright awesome is the movement? Is it something that's going to wow me? After going through all these, I give each one a score between 1 and 4, 4 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. And then I grade each one individually, then I average out the grades to give us a final grade for the hero. And like I said, today is Warmonger, so she got a brand new execution today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and take a look at how awesome these 6 executions are. That's right, only 6. Let's get started. Starting things off, we're looking at evisceration. All right, let's see that again. Wow, okay, so looking at evisceration, would it kill? Is this lethal? I gave this a 4 out of 4 for lethality. You are plunging the gauntlet clean through the midsection of the body, and keeping in mind like the width of that arm, that means you're definitely taking out the stomach. You're going to knock out that organ or rip right through it. You're probably going to break through some of the intestines. You might even tear through a lung. This person's dead in like 3 different ways. He's definitely going to die. There's no patching that up. You can't sew that back together. He's going to bleed out incredibly fast. He'll be dead within a few seconds, at longest maybe a minute or two. This person is dead. So that's definitely a lethality 4 out of 4. Realism, though, it's a 1 out of 4. I gave this a 1 for realism because, for one thing, I mean, you're punching through a dude. You were clean on punching through a dude, and I know some people will say, oh, but the clawed gauntlet, wouldn't that make it possible? Not really. I mean, I don't really say, like, think about it like this. Let's say that you took a tennis ball and put 3 nails on one end of the tennis ball and tried to shove the tennis ball clean through someone. Nails first. The nails would go in, but that doesn't mean the tennis balls are going to follow. You know, it's kind of the same principle here. You're not going to be able to go all the way through. You need superhuman strength to be able to pull off something like this. Plus, if she really did knock it through, you'd see her holding guts when her arm comes out. Okay, you'd see her holding like his organs. So no, this is a 1 out of 4 for realism. For efficiency, I gave it a 3 out of 4 because you're taking a little bit too much time plunging your hand through there. I feel like if you're in the middle of a battlefield, you really need to, you know, get in there and be done and then pull out immediately. Plus, I mean, there's a lot of better ways to get this guy killed and then move on. Why not just impale him with the sword? Why not just shove your sword in from behind and have that be the way you kill them? You don't need to sacrifice one of your hands to do it. Although what I will give credit for is look at where her sword is while she plunges her arm through. She's keeping it behind her head as if she's protecting from attacks from the back, which I think is actually kind of clever if that was intentional, which I don't know if it was, but that's still really cool. So I gave it a 3 out of 4 for efficiency. And then for cool factor, 3 out of 4. It's neat. It's actually really powerful to see an arm go through like that, and it definitely sets her up personality-wise different from other knights we've seen so far, except for maybe Black Prior, where we just see this absolute viciousness, this complete disregard for human life, just this willingness to absolutely dominate, destroy, and just use her almost animalistic killing potential to just eviscerate and destroy people. I mean, this is called evisceration, right? So actually, if you go through each of the execution names, each one is kind of badass when you think about it. So this one is really, really cool. I gave it an 11 out of 16 total, 4, 1, 3, 3, 11 out of 16, which is a 69%. Next up is perforation. All right, so this is also a 4 out of 4 for lethality. You're slamming the sword clean through the crown of the head, deep into the body until actually the top of the head hits the hilt of the sword. Yeah, this is a 4 out of 4 for lethality. There's no way you're surviving this. The blade is going right down the spine, through the cranium, destroying the brain, the spine, the heart, the lungs. It's getting everything. You're done. You're a dead man. For realism, I gave it a 3, and I'll tell you why. I don't entirely buy you could shove a sword all the way through like that so easily. But because she's using 2 hands to do it, I'll buy it a little bit more. Plus, I do like the fact that it's taking a little bit to pull the sword out. You'll notice that she actually has to drag the body to get the sword out, which kind of makes sense. You're putting something that long and powerful into the body, and that means that all the muscles and bones that it's hitting are going to cause resistance on its way out. So that's a 3 out of 4. Efficiency, it's a 2 out of 4. This is not very efficient. Imagine if you'd shoved your sword into the head like that and it took too much time to pull out. Like imagine if your sword actually got stuck, you're out of weapon, like that could be a danger. So I gave it a 2 out of 4 for efficiency, but for cool factor, again, I got to give it a 4 out of 4. One thing I got to really give Warmonger's executions is they have a lot of personality, and that personality is terrifying. She's easily one of the most brutal characters in the game outside of maybe Hitakiri, and I love it. I love how brutal she can be. It's absolutely terrifying what she's capable of and how easily she does what she does. So I definitely love that part of Warmonger. So this is a total of 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. Very, very neat. All right, next up is obliteration. Man, okay, so this one is also a 4 out of 4 for lethality. It's absolutely stunning. I love every step of the way for this one, and we'll go through it, but I just gotta say, definitely lethal. As soon as the sword was impaled through the stomach, that alone might not kill, but as soon as she knocked down the tip and the rest of the blade jerked upward, that's going to cut through your lung, that's going to cut through your heart, it's going to cut through a lot of vital organs. This person is definitely going to die. This is a 4 out of 4 for lethality. For realism, though, it's a 2 out of 4, and I'll tell you why. As soon as she knocks down the tip, look how fast the blade jerks upward. You are aware that that blade has to not only pass through organs, but the rib cage. And that takes a lot of effort to do. Remember how much effort it took Warden to do it in their execution when they tried to break through the rib cage to pull their sword out? And yet Warmonger does it one-handed? No, that's unrealistic. So that's 2 out of 4 for realism. Efficiency, it's a 1, because as soon as she gets the sword inside the person, she lets go of the sword. Not a good move. Anytime you let go of your weapon, even if it's leaving it inside of someone, that's not a good idea. You've disarmed yourself. Now, if an enemy attacks you in the middle of your execution, you are disarmed. You don't have your weapon. You are in a very, very bad position. So this is a 1 out of 4 for efficiency. And then for cool factor, 4 out of 4. It is so cool. It blows my mind how cool this looks, how just devastating it looks. It shows a lot of power. It shows a lot of her personality. I love it. So this is another 11 out of 16, which gives us a total of 69%. Next up is humiliation. Okay. All right, so for the first time, I actually am going to give lethality a 3 out of 4 for this one. Now, let me explain why. You might think, wait, isn't her clawed gauntlet going up into the brain? Not necessarily. I can still see most of her palm underneath his throat. And it's possible that she maybe grabbed his throat and ripped out his throat, which is a possibility. But the only thing that makes me concerned about it is the fact that she has to throw him. Now, if she's throwing him, then that means she has to grip something. And I'm thinking what she gripped was the inside of his jaw. That's what gets me. And if all she did was grip the inside of his jaw, then he might be able to live through that. And you might be thinking, well, hold on. How do you know she didn't just rip out the throat right there? Or how come you don't think that she hit the brain? Look at Warden's body as she holds him. He's still resisting. He's still grabbing at her arm with his hand. He's still moving, which means that he's still capable of movement. His brain is still functioning properly, but he's in a lot of pain. And she's holding him up by his tippy toes, so there's very little he can do right now because she's literally got him by the throat or jaw. Now, if she grabbed his throat and tore it out, yes, he's dead, but I can't know exactly. She's either shoving it into his throat or she's shoving it into his jaw. I can't tell which. If it's the throat, 4 out of 4, he's dead. But if it's the jaw, you can live without your lower jaw. You could potentially get out of that. But because I can't know for sure, I gave it a 3 out of 4 to be fair, because it's just too hard to call. If it's the jaw, it's a 2 out of 4 or a 1 out of 4. If it's the throat, it's a 4 out of 4. So I decided to be nice and go 3 out of 4 just to be fair. For realism, though, I gave it a 2 out of 4. And a couple of reasons why. Number one, no. I don't care how sharp your gauntlet is. You're not going to be able to drive your whole hand into someone's face. That is very difficult to do, especially considering the strength of the skull. I just don't see that happening. Plus, there's the reality of her throwing him that far. I don't buy that for a second, especially one-handed. I mean, keep in mind that with the other executions we've seen where they throw, we might see some leverage involved. I don't even see the leverage here. It looks like she did that all through brute force, but if she did do it with leverage, then even then, that's still a bit of a far throw with just one hand. I'm sorry. It just feels a little bit hard to believe. Cool as it is, and we'll talk about that, I still think that it's a little hard to buy. Now, for efficiency, though, I gave it a 1 out of 4 because you're standing there holding this guy with one hand and just kind of walking him in a circle. How is that efficient? How is that battlefield ready? Like, you're just standing there, hey, look at me. I'm humiliating you. This is so cool. Now I'm going to throw you. No, I would not have condoned that. That was not a good idea. So that's a 1 for efficiency. For cool factor, I give it a 3. I mean, it's cool. It's neat. And it's very much in keeping with her personality. But, you know, with some of the more cool attacks that she's done, the kind of combinations with her sword or the absolute brutality we've seen from her, nah, this isn't the top, fam. This is 3. But still, pretty neat. Something that definitely fits War Mommy. That is a 9 out of 16, though, which gives us a 56, the lowest score so far for Warmonger. Got 2 more to go. Let's see what she's got. Next up is Sovereignty. All right, well, we have a decapitation. Took a little while for the decapitation to come, but definitely warranted. So that's a 4 out of 4 for lethality. Once your head comes off, you're done. You're dead. For realism, I actually gave it a 4 out of 4. This could potentially happen. First of all, the manner in which she strikes him with her weapon and her gauntlet is amazing. And it all feels realistic and a very creative way to turn your opponent around and disable them so that they come down to their knee. I definitely like that. And then taking off the head with the sword. I've been very critical about decapitations in the past, but the reason I'll let this one slide is because the weight of a Zweihander, the weight of that sword, is specific enough to be able to take off a head with relative ease. Plus, she does do a proper wind-up. She uses both hands to do it. My only problem with it is in the animation, it looks a little lacking in its weight. But still, it's still enough of a wind-up that I could buy it. I definitely gave it a 4 out of 4 for realism. I think that fits. For efficiency, I gave it a 4 out of 4 for that as well, because it's fast, it's quick. She uses very sharp, precise motions to bring him to the ground. 4 strikes is all she needed, and then she took off the head, and then she was right back where she needed to go and move on. So 4 out of 4 for efficiency. And for cool factor, I gave it a 4 out of 4 too. It's like I said, it's amazing the way she used her clawed gauntlet and the butt of her weapon to very systematically bring this dude to his knees and then decapitate him by turning him the other way. That almost felt like she was setting him up for a legit medieval execution. I really, really liked that. So, guys, it's been a while, but we finally got one. A perfect score. This is a 16 out of 16 point, 100% execution. Probably her best so far from, like, an overall grading standpoint. So definitely awesome. All right, guys, last one, the brand new one, Slaughter of the Sheep. Oh my God. Oh, that's hard to watch. Oh my goodness, guys, I've watched every execution in this game, every single one, multiple times. This is the first one that literally made me shiver. This one gave me the goosebumps. I got the prickly skin watching this. Oh my gosh. Okay, is it lethal? Yes. Do you even need to ask? You're cutting the man's head in half lengthwise. This is cutting not only through the skull but into the brain, splitting your head in half. You are becoming a Two-Face, okay? You're half the man you used to be. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yes, 4 out of 4 for lethality. Realistically, is it realistic? Yes, actually, this is a 4 out of 4 for realism. And what I like about this is she's dragging the head down the blade to get that execution. It would have been so lame if all she did was shove the face into the sword and that's what cut it in half. Guys, it's not about the pressure placed onto the sword. It is about the sliding of the blade, the movement of the blade, and you're moving the head down the blade, which is helping to cut the face in half. So that's what's necessary to get that result. Is it efficient? Not quite. I gave this a 3 out of 4 for efficiency. She is planting her sword in the ground and taking the time. Like, look at how much time she takes to put this guy's face into it. In fact, what I do like, though, is notice her reaction when she prepares to do it. It's almost like she's inspecting him, almost like looking him over, deciding, are you worth keeping alive? Like, bringing him down, looks at him, shock at his face, and then just shoves it into the blade to kill him. Oh, it's so brutal, so devastatingly evil. But it does take a little bit too much time, so I gave it a 3 out of 4 for efficiency. And then finally, for the cool factor, like I said, it's the first execution to give me goosebumps, to actually make me shiver and cringe a little at the sight. 4 out of 4 for cool factor. I was wincing the whole way through. I was so horrified by it. And the last execution I think that did this to me was Insert a New Spine from the Kensei. Like, this one just devastated me. I was so blown away by this execution. So definitely 4 out of 4 for cool factor, which gives us a 15 out of 16, which is a 94%. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, that's all done. We've gone through each execution, all of them and all their awesomeness. Now it's time to average out these grades. So we're going to add all the 6 grades together. We're going to divide by 6 because there were only 6 executions, and that gives us an average of, rounding up to 78%. That is a C grade. A high C, but a C. I think after looking over the scores here, there were 3 problems that Warmonger had. The first being she doesn't have as many executions as some of the other heroes, so bad grades are going to hurt her more than any of the others, because she doesn't have as many good grades to balance them out. The other problem she had was she really hurt in the efficiency category. Some of her executions just take a little too long. Only one of her executions was an efficiency level of 4. The rest were all below that, 2 of which were in the 1 category. She takes a bit too much time to be cruel, which fits her personality, but does hurt her efficiency. But lethality and cool factor saved her here. Her cool factor had multiple level 4s, nothing lower than a 3. And as for lethality, only 1 execution didn't get a level 4, and that's only because I couldn't be entirely sure what she was puncturing, be it the throat or the jaw. And it could have gone either way. If it had been the throat, it would have been a 4, and it would have been a complete all executions being lethal moment, which we have never seen before in this series. So I'm going to be honest, guys, this was incredible. The only other problem I could see is that it did hurt her realistically, too. Some of her executions were a little unrealistic. But overall, guys, I loved watching Warmonger's executions. The new one is amazing. And yes, once all 4 Hero Fests are done for this season, I will look over all 4 again and just give you my overall thoughts on them. But just looking at these, oh man, I love Warmonger's executions. She's one of my favorites to get executions with. She has such a unique personality that really stands out. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I am so glad to finally be done with all the Vanguards, at least for now. I know that they'll probably release some more Hero Fest executions for Tiandi, Warden, Raider, and Kensei, and when that happens, I'll go back and adjust the overall grading videos as is needed. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you haven't gotten the new execution for Warmonger yet, definitely get it. It's very much worth the grab. It's very much worth getting. Otherwise, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys liked the outcome. If you haven't seen how I grade these execution videos, go check out the link in the description to see what it's all about. And as always, I will see you guys in my next video. Take care.